there. Well, good morning. It's Memorial Day here in the United States. So even though it's a Monday, it is a great day to not go to traditional work. So it's a little bit early, and if you're here with me, let's make good use of our time and grab your foam roller. So foam rolling, first and foremost. And we're going to start kind of up into the chest area and through the thoracic spine, shoulders. So if you've been swimming a little bit, if you played golf, if you played games that you don't usually play because it's a holiday weekend, we're just going to spend a little bit more time on the upper body. So nice and easy, foam rolling. You know, this has just become part of the ritual of the week, and whether it's a holiday day or whether you're traveling or anything, hopefully it serves as a reminder how important it is to take the time to do this check-in session of mobility. And we've built up probably over 50, let's change sides, over 50 different mobility sessions. If it's on the channel, I think it's a good session. So are there bad sessions? Maybe. You know, maybe there's sessions that are less important than others from a movement standpoint. And maybe as we get more into the summer months and in the northern hemisphere, if you're in your racing season, you know, maybe they change a little bit and they become a little bit more gentle. Because you're doing so much and we're outside so much and we're just busy. And so therefore we need less when it comes to mobility. But the practice is what sets it apart. The practice of showing up every single Monday, hands behind your head here, and just ensuring that we're resetting the body into its most optimal state of length and motion. And that's the difference between flexibility and mobility. Mobility is that you can actually control the movement and use the movement with your brain. So neurological control is kind of the cornerstone of the difference between mobility and flexibility. I do know one thing for sure. If you move better, and if you focus on these sessions with me, your training and racing will be easier. And so will it be better? I don't know. Sometimes that's up to coaches, swim, bike, run coaches. All right, let's get back down into the lower body. Welcome to everybody that's showing up this morning. Let's go right leg over left. Foam roller is right below the calf muscle. Reading a little bit on social media today about people experiencing a little bit of plantar fasciitis and lower leg issues. And I got to tell you that plantar fasciitis and lower leg issues come from dehydrated tissue and lack of preparation of that tissue for the intended event. I mean, there's always going to be outlying situations for different kinds of injuries and discomforts, but for the most part, plantar and lower leg stuff is you got it wrong in how much tension and tension and pressure that tissue could handle, and then that tissue got overworked and it became an itis. And what the biggest thing is to keep the tension to the acceptable level. And so good coaches will definitely slowly progress your performance, whether it's hiking or running or triathlon, and you want to make sure that you're paying attention to the body. Okay, let's take that right into the belly of the calf. Remove the other leg, and just so you're just putting pressure into the calf muscle, nice and easy. Okay, same thing other side. Pressure into the calf muscle, nice and easy. And just roll side to side. And just starting to pay attention. If you're starting to up your mileage, you might feel a little bit more tension on the lateral aspect of the calf muscle. That means there's more tension going into those landings, right? So take the time to foam roll it. Use the percussion gun on the lower leg. It can help with hydrating the tissue a lot. Okay, working through that lower leg. Okay, so today, if we know we're starting to get more and more tension on that IT band, the peroneals or the fibularis muscles on the outside of the calf, let's go ahead and make sure that we're nice and released on the inner part of the thigh so that we can find that balance. And sure enough, right down here, the inner part of the knee, the medial aspect of the knee, lift the foot above the knee, putting that hip into internal rotation. And I think you're going to find a little bit of spiciness on that adductor. And that can come from downhill running. My pattern is a long ride on Saturday and sometimes a swim run brick on Sunday. Sometimes it's bike run brick, but usually it's swim run. And so there'll be a level of fatigue that I take into my run every week now because that's triathlon. That's the sport that I do. So foot above, and therefore you're going to get exposed. You're going to find where those weaknesses are. So inner thigh, is it weak? Probably, compared to how fast I can run, which isn't very fast, but it's fast enough that it challenges my tissue. Not very fast because I'm from Boulder and everyone's fast here. So take it nice and easy, working that inner part of the thigh. So the knee needs to be up by the hip and we're just rolling through those adductors. And so by releasing the adductor, we're actually going to get more access to the lateral aspect of the hip. So the next move is going to be to sit on the foam roller. We'll go right foot over left and just work through the lateral part of the hip. And by putting the right foot on the left knee, you start to open up the hip joint. And we work through that. You might have heard of the muscle called the piriformis. So here we might get a little bit closer to that piriformis by putting a little bit more tension into external rotation. See if you can just really get deep. That piriformis is quite deep. So a lot of what you're usually feeling is going to be glutes. But just working through that lateral hip. Okay, let's hit the other side. Left leg over right. And immediately get a stretch. So there's yin and yang muscles, right? So there's inner thigh and outer thigh, and those two muscle groups should be friends. They should be working together to keep that knee nice and strong in one plane of motion for the most part, and also to keep the hips decoupling. So we're going to work on that next for our mobility. Okay, good. If you just joined us, we're going to work right into that upper back. Those of you that already hit the upper back, we're going to hit it again. Okay, so just nice and easy. And let's toggle side to side with the elbows. Nice and easy. Nice chest stretch here. Elbows to the back. And then move about 1 inch up. Get that same nice big extension. And just toggle side to side. And so I'm getting a lot of tension on the front side of the body through those chest muscles. Okay, nice and easy. Ooh, free pop and crack. All right, when we talk about hip decoupling, we're really addressing the fact that the hip complex, the hip bones and the SI joint and how it works together, it's two pieces. So on the front side of the body is the pubic symphysis. And from there, let's go ahead and do a little check-in. So we're spending more and more time in arrow, which means we're short on the front side of the body. So let's get that foam roller right on to the pubic bone. And we'll start right at the top of the pubic bone, and we're going to drag the skin across the pubic bone. And I'm definitely a little bit tighter on one side than the other. I think I sit on my saddle a little bit wrong. I have to talk to my bike fitter about that. Good, and just get right down to the bottom of that pubic bone. That is a joint that needs to move just a little bit. And take that across. Good. All right, so now working through the SI joint, we're going to take that foam roller long ways, and just sitting on it long ways, you're going to get right onto the sacrum. And so right on that sacrum is a big bunch of fascia called the thoracolumbar fascia. And it comes from the thoracic spine and protects the lumbar part of the spine. So right here, we're going to go lateral hip and then lateral hip, working through there. Lateral hip, we're rolling across that glute med. Across that glute med. Side to side. Okay, from right there, let's take it right up. You're going to lay pretty far back here. And I just want to make sure that across the sacrum, that fascia is gliding. So you want the skin to move. So you're just kind of moving gently back and forth. And we just want the tissue to glide. Okay, good. Next thing we're going to go into is a little bit of foundation training. And we'll go right into the archer. And so the archer starts in a nice woodpecker stance. And let's put hands on hips. And from right here, we're just going to open up the hip. So that foot is going to pivot, hips open, and then the foot pivots back and it closes. So we open up the hip, foot pivots, and we close the hip back to the front. Okay, so from a front angle, we open up the hip, the whole body turns as one, and then we turn back to the front. So we're just getting nice rotation through the leg that we're standing on. 2, which is just where we start. 3, open, close, that's 4, open, whoa, and close, that's 5. All right, same thing other side. So we go right leg in front of left, open that left foot, and the hip will follow, and then close it back down. Open, 2, and close. Open, 3. Seems very simple, but it is a motion that we lose. So that front hip or that front foot needs to stay facing right at me. Good. And then one more. Good. And good. All right, the archer. The archer is like pulling back a bow and arrow. Okay, so through there, we're going to work a little bit more of the thoracic spine. So we set up that nice split stance. Arms float right to the front of the body. Head is nice and tall. Pull your ears away from your shoulders. Push your chin back, chest up. Float your hands to the middle. And from right here, we've got right leg back. Everybody make sure you have your right leg back. We're going to go right thumb into left palm. The first thing that's going to move is my hip. Okay? The hip drives the arm. We get the elbow nice and high, and the eyes stay straight ahead. So that back elbow is nice and high, and then the hip comes back, and the arms come all the way back. Fingertips into that half sphere of tension. All right, so we got 5 of those. Drag the arm in relation to the hip. The hip comes first, comes straight back. Elbow up, rib cage big, belly strong. 2. Get nice and tall here, guys. Big breath. 3. Elbow up. 4. And one more. And 5. And the hip comes through. Shake that out. Good. So if you're doing it with intention, you're really lifting the hips off of the rib cage. Or we're lifting the rib cage off of the hips. We're trying to create as much space between the ribs and the hips as we can. Okay, right leg in front of left. Load into that big toe on your right leg. Nice sphere of tension. From right here, the left thumb into the right palm. We open up, This is where we get tall. Lift the ribs off the hips and come back. We got 5 of these. 2, 3, hips always moving first. 4, good, and 1 more. Whoa, and 5, and good. So it's kind of telling me I'm definitely fatigued. Monday is typically an easier day for me, maybe for you too. But you can start to see how you start to get a little bit more tippy. So let's draw in a little bit of stability. Single leg stance. Let's go left leg. I want you to load into that big toe on your left foot. From right there, keep your hands in your hips. Drop your right hip down and in, and then come right back. So on a single leg stance, we're rotating across and back. 2, keep that nice big chest. 3, gently rotating the right hip down across the left. 4, 1 more, and 5. And that makes sure that that left leg is really working well, okay? So let's go right leg. Left leg back just a little bit. That decouples the hips. Standing strong on the right leg. Big toe strong into the ground. And we're going to drop the left hip down and in, and then bring it back. 2, bring it back. Push into your big toe and your right leg. You're going to feel your right hip turn on. 3, 4, 1 more, and 5. And if you're standing on a rubber mat or maybe carpet like me, that's going to be harder because we're on an unstable surface. Okay, let's just do a gentle hip stretch. Lay on your back, right leg over left, head back, and we're just reaching through the hole, and we're just going to hold on to that. 5, 4, not too long, 3, 2, 1, switch to the other side. So it's mobility because we're not holding those static stretches for minutes at a time, right? We're just going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, come right back. Same thing other side. We're going to hit 5 by 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, good. So we're just showing the hip the position. Let the muscles adapt around it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Number 3, hold 5, 4, and each time you start to recognize 2, 1, that it gets just a little bit easier each time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 1 more each side. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 1 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, good. All right, so let's take those feet outside of hip width. Right here, we're going to do a little bit of happy hip drop. So we're dropping into the right hip, and then we're dropping into the left hip. Do not be across the midline. So right here, as you drop in, here's the midline. This is a short hip. Give me a nice long hip, all right? So drop out to the outside. Drop down and in. Drop down and in. 3, 4, 5. We're going to go 10 here. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we get into that 90-90 position. We get into 90 degrees on the right, 90 degrees on the left. Flip over to the other side, 90 degrees on the left, 90 degrees on the right. And that just gives us that nice hip decoupling. Okay, so happy hips number 2 brings us into the thoracic spine a little bit. So keeping the lower body where it is, 2 hands overhead, nice and long and tall, right? Drop the right knee in, bring the right rib cage all the way across. And you should feel tension through your belly here. Bring that left knee across, 90 degrees. Pull the ribs away from the hips. 2 and 2. 3. 4. So the pressure and the tension or the intention is coming across the rib cage. Get a nice long hip and then add that arm. Same thing on this side. Nice long quad, hip comes across, rib comes across, and arm pulls away from the hip. Happy hips number 2 is kind of the teller of truth. It'll really tell you how that psoas muscle is interacting. If the psoas and the front part of your body is tight, it's going to inhibit how your glutes function. And if your glutes aren't functioning, you're not performing at your best. Okay? Let's go on to 2 knees. Push your hips back just a little bit. Take that nice big breath. Scoop from the bottom. Little kneeling founder for us. This is an activator of the posterior chain, so it's going to switch on the back muscles that might have just shut down a little bit. All right? So nice big breath, chin back, chest up. Pretend I've got my hand on the back of your head and you're pushing your head back into my hand. From right there, hips back. Take a couple of deep breaths. Pull the shoulders away from the ears. Scoop from the bottom. Elbows low. This is a perfect position for the upper body with your founders. All right? Fingertips together. From right here, I can feel my low back starting to switch on. I might even feel a little bit of discomfort there. Don't leave it. Just breathe into it. It's in a safe position. And then just come right back out of it. Okay, one more kneeling founder. As you do your kneeling founder, your second one, let's really make sure that your feet are outside of your knees. It's going to bring your hips into internal rotation. All right, hips to the back. My nose is about 10 inches in front of my knees. So there's a little bit of peak over the cliff there. And then we're going to add the weight of the arms, but the elbows stay low. From right there, tops of my feet are very light on the floor. Low back starting to switch on. Shoulder blades are nice and low and strong. And just breathe. Nice, healthy back. And then come right back out of that. It's Memorial Day in the United States. It's a good day to celebrate and thank those who came before us and gave the opportunity for us all to live in a free country in the United States. I hope the rest of you around the world are also celebrating freedom and joy and enjoy each other's presence. Have a great day. Thanks for coming today, and I will see you next Monday. Peace.